What's the difference between a joke and 3 dicks?
Tom can't take a joke.
Welcome to GayTalk 2.0, the ultimate podcast for your dose of dish.
Welcome back, ladies and gents, to another episode of GayTalk 2.0, an LGBT podcast. We are streaming live and in color on our YouTube channel for all of our Patreon supporters. Today's guest is Peter Dewitt, founder of Gay Wellness. Gay Wellness is an online platform that connects clients with quality gay massage therapists and wellness practitioners. My name is Tom, and I am your host, and as always, with me are my amazing co-hosts, starting with the first one.
Hey, y'all, Nick or Trish.
And
J-Bear, a.k.a. your boyfriend's boyfriend.
all right, welcome back, Mr. Missing Boyfriend. But we're here. We're queer, as always, and we've got the dish for you. We're excited. We do have yet another guest. Nick, you are on point. You are working it to the bone, girl. What are you on? Please share.
It's my white people drugs, you know.
Your white people drugs. You care to elaborate on that?
No.
No. She's like, no, absolutely not. So how are you, Trish?
I'm good.
All is well in the land of Oz?
Yeah, it was a long weekend, long week, but
Well, next weekend is going to be yet another long weekend.
yeah.
It's going to be Labor Day. It's hard to say that we're here. We're almost at the end of summer.
Shut your filthy mouth.
Oh, I know. And summer's really not over until the 21st of September when we officially move into fall. So we're just going to say that Labor Day is just another day. We might grill. We might not do a show next week. I'm just letting you know. But yeah, so that's where we are. So overall, I mean,
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just been, my life has been family. My parents have been in town for a month, and they leave this week on Thursday.
Wow,
And
it's already a month?
I know.
imagine that. Time flies when you're on Prozac. See that? White people drug.
Yeah. But it's been great having them in town, but at the same time, I'm like, okay.
When are you going home?
Yeah, because every week they want me to drive up to Hartford and have dinner or lunch, and then the weekend. So like once during the week and then the weekend, and I'm just like, this is a lot.
It is.
And then this weekend we went away and saw My Godfather in Nyack, New York, which was great. But like again, it's just like this whole month has been.
I don't know. The way you said that sounds very gangsta to me.
Yeah,
Like the
Godfather.
Godfather.
Oh my God, have you seen My Godfather?
Oh, I saw your Godfather. Yeah, he does look like, he's ready to.
Does he make offers people can't refuse?
He could, yeah.
He could.
There were some other people in them pictures too. I was like, God damn. Yep, he looks like he can, get away with some murder.
Oh, yeah.
No, but he's the best. I love him.
He looks serious.
Yeah.
So he's not a con. He's not a
You don't know that.
mafioso. None of that.
That's not true.
But he is the person that does. He's an accountant. He files your taxes for you. Does he not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're well. You look good, by the way.
I'm fine.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Jay Bird, how are you?
Good.
Go
ahead.
We never got a chance to ask you last week. How was camping?
It was good, actually.
Did you have fun?
Absolutely.
Mm.
You know how it goes.
Is
I enjoy it. It's fun.
He's a walking HR liability. Let's be honest. He had a great time.
I had a great time. I enjoy the, clothing optional part of it. You
Yeah,
get
right.
to adult in a different way. You know what I mean? Especially when you live in a household and there's kids around, you can't partake in the
Right.
enjoyment of walking around clothes free. So just having that opportunity for me is a big, even though I don't go fully naked.
That's interesting though.
Yeah.
You can be a spectator. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll change out in the open and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm running around hiding, but just being able to have that that freedom
Mm-hmm. You know,
kind of gives you that. So, I don't know. To me, I like it.
It's funny because like since I've been living alone in the I sleep naked, but in the mornings I'll wake up and I'll just like
Walk the house naked.
yeah. And I'm like always like a little nervous that somebody's gonna be like
walk out.
hey Nick,
Yeah.
and I'll be like oh shit.
I do that every day, and for me, so it's kind of weird for me because like I have no qualms in going outside in my underwear. I go get my trash cans in my underwear and a tank top. Every single Friday when they pick up, and for me, it's normal. It's like I'm clothed, whether it's underwear or shorts.
I mean, you are really close with your neighbors, so
yeah, with all of them. I don't think it's the fact that I'm close. I think it's the fact that they've just like given up. They're like, that's not going to change. We're just going to have to deal with that for the rest of our lives.
One of your neighbors came up to you today and was like, by the way, I'm going to be away for a couple weeks. So if anything goes wrong or if anything happens to the house, here's my son's number. I'm like,
both of her sons' numbers, actually. No, but she's nice. She's super
but I would have
nice.
been like, hold on, time out. What are their ages and what do they look like?
I've met them both. They're both of age. They're both in their like late 20s. And my neighbors, so they live behind me. They're amazing. That's all right. They're amazing, and she and her husband were one of the first people that I met when I moved here, and our dogs sort of kind of spend a lot of time communicating and barking at each other over the fence. So it's like,
you're basically family.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So no, we're good. We're good. So no, she was just letting me know she was going to go away for 2 weeks, and so if I didn't see her, because we do talk over the fence all the time, then I would know why. Because my previous neighbor next to me went away on vacation for a week and a half, almost two, didn't tell me.
That's right.
And so by day 7, I was like, if I don't see one person walk out of this house today, I'm calling the cops. I'm doing a wellness check because that means this person went bonkers and they murdered his entire family in the house, or maybe it was CO2, I don't know, and the whole family's dead and I haven't seen them. And I was just mortified. And if it wasn't for the fact that his father came over that day while they were on vacation to mow the lawn, I would have called the police and someone would have broken that door down.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm,
You're a dedicated neighbor.
I am. I'm also very nosy.
Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson.
I'm also very, very nosy, but it's who I am, and I have been very fortunate to have.
It's good to know your neighbors
Yeah.
and be aware. I mean, absolutely.
No, my neighbors on my other side, they're great. They're quiet. They rented the house for a while that they live in, and then they bought it.
Well, they did.
And then she walks over. She goes like, "Guess what we did today? We paid off the house." I was like, "You lucky bitch."
Oh, shut up.
I was like, "Do you want
down the hill?
Do you want to pay mine?"
Seriously.
That's all I kept saying. But no, other than that, I do. I'm very fortunate. Very fortunate.
Yeah, that's good.
So, can't say the same for a lot of other people, but you get back what you put out, right? And I try to be very
we know you
helpful, and I do put out.
If you can give it, you give it.
Of course, anything you need from me, if it's within my capabilities and my abilities.
Take a joke,
Quantum wildness.
She can't take a joke.
But I can take
Wink,
3 cups.
wink. No, no, but I do the same thing at home. I'll go out on my tank top.
All the
and my
wives are like
boxers.
walking up and down the street.
Yeah.
Tom has all the men in his house.
Yeah.
Actually, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Sorry, Jay, you were saying something. Where are
we
our
were,
husbands?
yeah, we were talking about nakedness.
Yeah. See, we get lost in the sauce very
Yeah,
quick.
real quick.
Very quick.
But I do the same thing as Tom does. I'll go out and grab the trash cans in my boxers and tank top. I don't give a shit. I'm home.
I mean, you basically came over today in your boxers, so.
Just
yeah, pretty
about.
much. That shit was swinging from one end to the other. I was like, man, he must have like sprinkled some adobo on that shit today.
All over the place.
Mm-hmm.
He sprinkled adobo, some sazon. He was ready to put that shit on the grill.
Some salsa.
Some guac.
Some guac.
Some guac. Speaking of guac, Trish, you brought us a little treat today.
Yes.
Which I must commend you, was absolutely delicious. So, care to explain what made you turn into like Betty Crocker all of a sudden?
No, I've been cooking a lot lately, and so last night I have 2 cans of chickpeas, and I needed to use them because they were going to fire.
Do you know what they're called in Spanish?
Chickpea?
Chickpea. Chickpea.
What's yellow? Amarillo. No. They're called garbanzos.
Garbanzos?
Pitipua? No?
No, what?
I thought it was pitipua.
What the hell is that?
That's what I've known them as, no?
Pitipua?
Pitipua.
Garbanzos?
Garbanzos.
Garbanzos.
Mi culo es un fuego?
Yo
I'm
quiero
sure it
leche
is.
en mi cara.
Gee, are you practicing for our trip to PR?
Maybe.
Yo quiero más.
¿Cómo?
Yo quiero más. I want
Please.
more.
Por
Oh
favor.
my God.
Por favor.
That would be an epic trip.
Oh, God. I don't know if I'd come back.
Probably not.
No.
You'll be like my coworker looking for a place to buy in the island.
Like, seriously.
and retire.
At this
No, I would have been stolen and sold.
Oh, God, no. They would have returned you within 2 seconds.
Valid.
But, I mean, you're
Valid.
practically an indoctrinated Puerto Rican, so, you would do well on the island.
By default.
Yeah, I mean, you will already know the moods and, all the swings, and you're like, bitch, I got you. I got 2 crazy Puerto Ricans that sit with me every week around the table, and we talk shit, and we argue, and pop goes the weasel. And, yeah, so, you're pretty much indoctrinated.
Yeah, no, I'd be fine.
Yeah,
Be okay.
you'd be okay.
Believe it or not, English is a lot more prevalent in the island now.
Yes.
I'd say in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Before it was harder. It was like traveling, and if you didn't know a lot of Spanish, it was a bit difficult to get around. Now, everywhere you go, everybody's fluent.
Yeah. I mean, they're
If
literally.
people speak slowly enough, I can get most of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I get like words here and there.
Yeah.
I would hope. We've been hanging around. So we've been doing this show for about 7 years.
Oh,
and I met you.
Is this a bad time? 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
And I met you probably like a year before we started the show. Yeah, I think so.
No, because I've been here going on 11 years, so you've known me for
Way too long. Way too long. No, but overall, I think I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
If you're in
Seriously.
San Juan, you good. Everybody speak English.
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
And one of the little Guaynabo, Guaynabo's
So-
now
so-
Guaynabo City.
Right. So this is the thing. So
They changed
now
it to Guaynabo City.
all of these major hubs in Puerto Rico are going through this, Americanization of let's change our names to reflect our, English, right? And so instead of Ciudad Guaynabo, it's now Guaynabo City.
Yeah, Guaynabo
How they say
City.
city, right?
But
it's
a lot of the
hilarious.
street names, they're actually Buchanan.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's.
there are a lot of English names in the streets. It's just the influence that's been there for ages.
I think there's even like a Theodore Roosevelt something
Theodore Roosevelt,
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it's nice. It's nice to catch up with my bitches.
and just to finish that up, I made hummus.
Yes, please.
Thank you. And it was delicious. So he made hummus with care to give us your recipe.
That was your spin on it, because I've never had it with basil. It was really yummy.
Yeah. So I've got a basil plant, and it's coming to that time of the year where you gotta get rid of all the leaves. So I took some basil, and then the chickpeas, olive oil, little balsamic reduction, and then obviously garlic, like a lot of it. And then I just made it, and it was
delicious.
yummy.
There's still some upstairs.
Yeah.
I can't wait to put it in my mouth.
I'm sure.
I was like, wait, we have to save some for Jay.
I was like, no, she'll be fine.
No, I saw it was barely any left, but
Oh, you know what? We left you plenty, and that's only because I took a little bit and I put it in my own little dish and I put it away in the fridge
we knew
for later.
No,
That's gonna be my snack.
Yeah.
no,
And
it's
a
really
healthy
good.
snack.
It's really good. Yeah, it's really
So-
good.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very healthy.
A little treat.
I like it, and especially when you use fresh garlic, because it gives it like that little spicy kick to it when it's still.
I
oh,
love,
I love
that about garlic.
Yes.
When it's just a little bit too much, so it's a little spicy.
Yes,
Ah,
right on.
makes-
It's
so-
just
yeah.
right on the tongue.
It's so good though.
It's like a
It
Puerto
is.
Rican.
Spicy enough.
No comments. Do you know what a Puerto Rican is like? Do you want to care to elaborate on that?
A
One.
little spicy
And
on the
two.
tongue.
I was thinking maybe you were talking about another kind of like, experience with a Puerto Rican. I was like, Nick, are you holding
honestly,
out on us?
like I've got a lot of Puerto Rican friends, but I don't think I've ever slept with a Puerto Rican.
I think some of that craziness you have going on would totally go away. Hard facts.
What is it, like a vaccine?
You never know.
Never know.
It's like an aphrodisiac. She's like, yeah, I'm over
Like
it.
one of those Spanish boys talking to you in Spanish while he's ragging you around a room.
Mm-hmm. Or the house, being that you now live alone.
Just running around the house. Yo no sé, yo no sé.
Oh my God.
No me diga.
No me diga.
Dame más.
I don't know.
Oh boy.
It would be like, paciencia y fe. You would need a lot of that, trust me. All right, well, listen, do we have any stories that we want to cover before?
Lo siento.
Lo siento. I'll be like, girl, let me tell you.
I can't.
I had to kick that boy out.
I cannot with you guys.
God.
So do we have anything that we want to talk about before we move on to anything else?
Do you have something you want to talk about?
I do. Well, I mean, I have a couple of things. First and foremost, I want to talk about, gun violence. Today we had an incident, of course, in the University of North Carolina, where I think it was one shot fired, and the entire North Carolina police force converted at the University of North Carolina. Thankfully, they've identified a suspect or someone of interest, and they haven't reported as of yet any fatalities, which is amazing and great. But it's disturbing, right, to see that things are like this yet continue to happen and nothing. We're doing nothing. No gun control reform legislation is being presented, neither by the Republicans, which is to be expected, but neither by the Democrats. And I'm not hearing anything on this. It's just like, I'm really disappointed in a lot of the lack of our ability to take this because it is, in a sense, a pandemic of sorts.
An epidemic?
Or an epidemic. Thank you.
There was one faculty member that was killed, fatally shot.
Thank you. See,
The suspect is in custody.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah.
But it's disturbing, and we're starting to see a lot of these things like this. Obviously this is a university campus, this is a university town, and so things like this can, quickly be a lot worse than they have been. I mean, when we think about VTech, right? When you think about all of these other university campuses and where shootings like this have happened, and even over the course of the last 2 years, it's disturbing. But I know not only that. I mentioned that only because more and more we're seeing increased violence in the wake of these 4 indictments for the former dumbass freaking president that used to be.
You actually
hashtag not mine.
Yeah.
In light of this, you're starting to see people start reacting, and it's not, a group of people, it's individual loners that are starting to do things that are really starting to scare and put people on notice of the fact that, our ability to hold people accountable for things that they do when they break the law is also encouraging people who follow this dumbass to commit acts of violence in his name, right? To defend the fact that they still believe that this man won the 2020 election and that everything that he's been spewing throughout the course of the last 2-3 years since that such election is disturbing. And we're starting to see a lot more attacks in our LGBTQ plus community as a result. Case in point, what I really wanted to talk about was a story that, coming out of New Jersey, where New Jersey families literally who were attending a drag queen story hour with children were evacuated because of a bomb threat at the location where this was happening. And you say to yourself, I'm like, you have a shooting in North Carolina, you have, these bomb threats happening in several places throughout the U.S., and now in New Jersey, and you start thinking to yourself, like, When is this going to be enough?
Well, honestly, I think with everything going on with Donald Dump, right?
I love that you call them that. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think what the country needs to see is that everybody is held accountable. So, like, yes, he had a mugshot. Yes, he's been arraigned. But, like, we need to see action taken, right?
Oh, of course.
People need to understand that, behavior like this will be met with repercussion.
Right.
And it hasn't been yet.
Right.
And he's been getting away with everything. And he thinks he can throw money at things. And people think,
And it's not even his money.
no, but like people with power can get away with shit. So now all of these people that follow him are like, well, he's in my corner. I'll get away with it.
Right. Thinking that, hey, if I do this, I'll probably get a pardon, right?
Right.
Yeah, and I think he's also counting on a Republican president to pardon him as well.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of options for him, but the problem is that, crimes that are committed in specific states that are not related to something federal can't be pardoned by a president.
Right.
Right. So, for example, out of all of the 4 different indictments that he has received thus far, he's got one in Miami, he's got one in D.C., one in New York,
One on GayTalk.
one on GayTalk, of course, because we indict that man every day in this house. And then now the charges, the racketeering charges that were brought to, against him and a total of 19 people, right? Co-conspirators that were brought up in Georgia, in Fulton County, Georgia. The Georgia case is the one and only one that he cannot just pardon himself on, should this man be elected back into the presidency, which I don't think it's going to happen. I'm being very realistic. He didn't win the 2020 election, and it wasn't because of fraud. It was because the man is just can't win. And the people that he supported left and right lost in those last, elections that we had for the midterms. And so it is clear that this man, is going nowhere fast. But nonetheless, you still have these people that are committing these crimes and these violent attacks on other citizens of the United States in his honor. It's almost like I don't understand what the allure. Maybe I do, and it's just maybe I've been ignorant to the fact that it's like he woke up racist America and said it's okay to be racist and go out there and do what it is that you need to do to keep me in power.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be ignorant to that fact. I'm like, I don't understand what the allure is, but in a sense I do.
The fact that when he was running for election,
Mm-hmm.
and there was an actual video of him saying, grab him in the pussy.
By the pussy, yeah.
Or by the pussy. And it was still something that was like,
Whatever.
Yeah.
whatever. That alone, when they say red flags, that was the biggest fucking red
Right.
flag right there.
And he said he could, shoot somebody.
In the middle of Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Point
and
blank.
get away with it,
And
no
get away with
problem.
it.
So I mean, it's you could already tell where this was heading from the get go.
Right.
What bothers me, I think, the most is that there was a moment, especially during Obama, right, where we were feeling empowered.
Right.
We were feeling forward movement. And now more and more, even in Connecticut, we find ourselves meeting and facing discrimination and people that are coming out of the woodwork that think that it's okay to say whatever the fuck they want to say or, hurt whoever the fuck they want to hurt because of the rhetoric this man created.
Right.
I mean, the reality is, did I talk about this on the show? I don't know if I really should, but I recently had an encounter with a colleague, and it was a weird encounter, and I was like, what's going on here? And I had talked to another colleague or friend of mine, and they were like, well, I know what's going on here. He's homophobic. And I was like, what? I've never dealt with something like this before in my professional career. And they were like, well, with the rhetoric as it is, people feel more comfortable being true to how they feel.
Right.
Even if it goes against like social norms, or I wouldn't say social norms, but social movements.
Right.
And I was floored that in 2023 in Connecticut, which is a purple blue state, I actually dealt with something like that
Right.
at the age of 36.
Right, and it's disturbing, in many ways, but it just also opens your eyes to the fact that we can't fall asleep to, or we can't become, what is the word I'm looking
Complacent.
for? Complacent.
Oh my God!
Thank
big
you,
word.
Jay. I'm so proud of you. We cannot become complacent to the fact that this is possible in any of the 50 U.S. states. We're starting to see things happening all over. I mean, New Jersey, for the most part, is part of the tri-state area. It was one of the first states that signed on for marriage equality, for God's sakes. So it's always been a very transitional part of the tri-state area, and to see things like bomb threats occurring in a building full of children is disturbing, to say the least.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see that a lot in the Northeast, mainly because we're not kowtowing to not allowing people to have these drag brunches and these
Right.
readings with kids in a library. So, I am not surprised by it, and I think that
Okay, keep going.
I just think that we'll continue to see it until somebody is in power and people get behind a rhetoric that is more Obama-like.
Right. And sadly,
Obama, come back!
Please come back, Jack. We'll never let go. All right. Well, listen, we do have a guest. We have to be respectful. So before we can bring our guest in, we do need to take a break. So we'll leave you. And when we come back on the other end, we're going to have our guest, Peter Dewitt, join us. We will be right back. All right, ladies and gents, welcome back from the break. Joining us now, of course, is our guest, Peter Dewitt. He's the founder of Gay Wellness. Gay Wellness is an online platform that connects clients with quality gay massage therapists and wellness practitioners. I'm going to bring him into the live stream, and I want to go ahead and take an opportunity to just welcome Peter to the show. Peter, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. Can you hear and see me okay?
Yeah.
We can. Thank you so much. Before we get started, as you know, I have a tendency to forget to do that. I want you to get familiar with who's in the studio with me. So my name is Tom, and I host a show with these two crazies that sit on either side of me. So I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, Peter. I'm Nick.
And
Hi, Javier or Jay.
All
thank
right.
you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Of
So,
course.
Peter, before we get started, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we can jump in and talk about Gay Wellness, which I believe is just a great service.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to keep it brief and say I grew up in Mexico City, and then moved to Nashville when I was a teenager. Moved out to California when I was 20 to live in a spiritual community, kind of like a yoga ashram situation in Orange County of all places. And that's kind of where actually I came out. So I was mostly attracted to women growing up. So late bloomer on the homo side. And got into, so I got into stuff, yoga, meditation, healing, therapy, all this stuff when I was in my 20s out here in the land of fruit and nuts, as my dad likes to call it.
Lord have mercy.
Okay, right? Multiple meanings there. And so anyway, I just, I was a piano teacher for a long time, to be honest. I was a musician. And then when I was 30, I moved up to the Bay Area, San Francisco, to pursue wellness stuff. And I was, did this training, that training, this training, the other. And finally it was massage that kind of clicked as far as like being able to put money on the table. So I was listing on several websites of these gay massage directories. And I started seeing that there could be an improvement, something new, a need for something new. Something more comprehensive around wellness, not only massage, but other categories as well. So 2.5 years ago, I started gaywellness.com after, just kind of talking to a lot of friends. And so I moved back down to LA to really launch it. And that's kind of where I have been. I'm actually up in the Bay Area currently, but I kind of do more traveling now. But yeah, it's been a journey, and so yeah.
That's amazing.
Did you find that there was a need for a site like this where individuals in the LGBTQ plus community could go and there would be a hub where people can actually find a gay massage therapist or whatnot?
I mean, you said it so better than I would say it right now. But a hub is an online platform. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of. I mean, I think it could be a little bit more of a community right now. It is more literally like, like a hub. Like you can find anyone and everyone. I mean, there are 8 categories, right? So let's see if I can get them. Massage, fitness, yoga, hair, skin care. So that's all your barbers, all your male groomers. And then like health and wellness is kind of like your broad miscellaneous. You got everything from acupuncturists, physical therapists, chiropractors. So we're at 4. We got life coaches, all kinds of coaches, really, executive coaches, business coaches, spiritual coaches, relationship coaches. And then the psychotherapy is its own category. We have, I would say about 20 or 30 psychotherapists on there. And then the resorts and spas is kind of a newer category. So gay resorts and spas. And then there's one more. What was it? Oh yeah. Like love and matchmaking, which I mean, it just turns out there are a good handful of gay matchmakers out there. So we made a category.
That is true. I mean, we have a lot of different, platforms that one can turn to. I mean, even Facebook and of Facebook dating, etc.
Yeah.
So it's always good to be able to see that you have a repository of places that you can specifically go to that cater to the gay community, because as we know, Facebook is an open platform for a lot of different people. But before we dive into the website, I want to ask a question and go back to you personally. You literally went from growing up in Mexico City to Tennessee, and can you tell me a little bit about what was that transition like?
Yeah, so because my parents are missionaries, so they worked for the church, so they were always doing their church thing, which I wasn't really into. But I was more like into playing soccer and getting into trouble. But I mean, Mexico City, especially back in the 80s and 90s, I mean, God, it was so different than it is now. Now it's all the trendy and all the gringos want to be there. But back then it was, I mean, it was a very, it's still, very machismo culture, a very like boys don't cry kind of situation. And I was the only American in my school. So I mean, I always just grew up feeling like a little different than the other boys. But I had a queerness about me, that I didn't have any words for at the time. So I just felt, I just felt different. But I mean, at the same time, I also felt like I am like the other boys. Like I play soccer, and I like to, I'm a boy, I wasn't really like a girly boy, although I think I had some of those tendencies, but they came out later in life. So then when I moved to Nashville, which was very like, football jockey kind of culture, very sports centered. It was like they were just like, well, who is this guy? He's a Mexican. Like they couldn't relate to me there. So it was this theme of always feeling kind of like the odd one out, like the different kid, whether it was in Mexico or in as a teenager in United States.
And then you also have the other, the layer of having missionary parents. What was that like when you came out and when you came to terms with yourself?
I mean, it was not great when I first came out, when I was in my mid-20s. And I think at first, like it wasn't like horrendous or fire and brimstone, but it was just kind of like disappointing, I think. But then I just didn't really, I was at such a young, early point in my coming out that I didn't really know how to handle it. So I think I just went into like, okay, whatever, just move on. And so I think my parents, the first few years, just kind of tried to think it was a phase. Mm-hmm. And over the years, I started realizing, oh, they think this is a phase. And for me, it was like, no, this is not a phase. So, Yeah, I mean, I went through a lot over the last decade has been like, there were a few years where I didn't talk to them. Then there were a few years where I had all these conversations with other Christian gay counselors to really unpack because my parents are loving people. They're not hateful people. My mom's sister's a lesbian. They want all of us to get along, but they just have like a very kind of like, which most I think mainstream Christian people do. They have a very surface level understanding of what their own scriptures are even telling them. They don't understand that, the word homophobia was invented in the 1860s in Germany, or, they haven't really gone deep, probably because they were never forced to. But for someone like me, I went on this long journey of really going deep into the scholarship because, I mean, my dad, he's someone who, he went to theological seminary and all that. So we had to have a lot of very difficult but enlightening and ultimately beneficial conversations that ultimately have drawn us closer together. They'll never be in marching down the Pride Parade, but I can tell them any and everything about my queer life, and we're in a different place now.
Well, that's wonderful.
That is. So clearly you took this spiritual journey yourself, where, because I know like yoga and I used to work at Kripalu, which is a yoga wellness center out in Massachusetts. And I know that it's not just, a style of life. It's literally like a lifestyle, right? It's also like a journey, a spiritual journey for a lot of people. So when it comes to actual religion versus yoga wellness and that type of lifestyle, how do you now identify as a gay man?
Oh, I mean, I've always been, a yogi, and I have a very strong Hindu background. I guess Hindu is a really loose word, but yeah, it's like a classical tantra, orientation. And so that part was something that we also fought about for many years, but that's given that I was already from a teenager, already since I was a young kid, rejecting their kind of dogma and just finding out on my own. And I had a few bizarre spiritual experiences as a teenager that forced me to question everything. And I just landed in this kind of interfaith Hindu worldview, which I studied for many years, trained in yoga. So I mean, we already had, it was almost like we had that beef first.
Yep.
And then later came the LGBT beef. Anyway, it didn't work.
Where's
didn't work.
the beef?
You tried.
Yeah. So I mean, we have these really interesting conversations, or semi-interesting conversations, where my dad is just like, he's just very entrenched in his thing, and we try to have these conversations about Christianity, but I'm coming from a very like Oriental worldview of like, karma and reincarnation, and he's not.
Right.
So I just kind of, I'm like, I already know what I'm getting into there.
Right.
Well, that's the interesting thing about religion, right? Is that there's so many different flavors of religion. There's so many different flavors of spirituality. And you get to, in a sense, take what you want and do with that information and what you learn, what you will, right? And there's been a lot of controversy, for example, with medicine and holistic approaches to healing the body. And I'm interested in finding out what your take is on the holistic approach, right? Because yoga, when you think about yoga, when you think about, therapies and massage therapy and all of these other physical, beneficial physical forms of healthcare and self-care and repair, they're completely different from what the medical community typically advocates for. So could you speak a little bit more about why you chose the more holistic path rather than...
I'll speak through my journey, because I'm not gonna say that I have any kind of insight that could be taken as advice. But the level at which I can speak is like my personal experience. So I would say both have benefit. And let me be really specific on what I mean by that, because it does need to get granular for different people for different reasons. So my journey is one of where, as a teenager, I was actually clinically diagnosed with narcolepsy, which, my parents were, God bless them, they were taking me all around hospitals and doctors in Nashville trying to figure out what was going on with me, what's eating Gilbert grape. And, none of them really knowing, but kind of, prescribing me all these different meds, which just, I just felt like a zombie. And then so when I moved out to California and I lived in this ashram, and I actually ended up throwing out all those meds and what do you call it? Getting on a totally vegan raw diet and meditating and just having this really clean lifestyle, doing a lot of purification, a lot of detox, so all the holistic things. Started going to therapy, but then over the years, for me, this thing of like a mild different phase. I've had different phases, even up until the last few years, of like this kind of these nervous system upheavals. Lately, it was one of anxiety. It's where actually, so I studied trauma somatic therapy, so I can talk about it from that point of view, where narcolepsy is actually a symptom of profound dissociation, right? Which is leaving the body, not feeling safe being in my body. Is really, that would be the more kind of holistic way of looking at it. And so what's good for a nervous system in those conditions is just doing lots of somatic therapy, lots of nervous system emotional regulation. That being said, there's also a lot to be said for symptom reduction, which in my case, I needed Lexapro and Wellbutrin, certain SSRIs. So I would say actually at one point, those really, I had so much anxiety. Those saved my life.
Right.
And so, yeah, I believe in psychedelics, psychedelic psychotherapy. I believe in all the things, yoga, meditation, good lifestyle, good diet, etc. But I don't think that always those are going to be all of the answer. I could name off like 2 or 3 other people I know who have tried all the holistic things, but really were lacking some kind of Western medicine, psychiatric diagnosis, and vice versa. So in my life, I had first the psychiatric diagnosis was supposed to cure all, but it wasn't. And then it was like, well, all holistic, but then that was not. So now I think it's just a for whom and for when, which is another way of saying, for certain people at certain times, this approach is going to be better. But then I think always having some kind of holistic, even Jeff, if it's just like a really healthy diet, right? Like that's just a great place to start. I think most everybody could and probably should be in some form of talk therapy or life coaching. Those are kind of like my, and some kind of physical exercise or movement or, yoga, something like that, so.
That's amazing.
I'm a stickler, but I'm also not like a purist, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Did you find when you were talking about narcolepsy and how it almost is like you're trapped and want to escape from your own body, did you find that when you actually came out and accepted yourself and accepted everything that it means to be gay, that it actually got better without meds, or did you still?
No, the meds were, I will say in my case, I feel like for me coming out has been like a 6-year process. So, and that the coming out has been multi-level, like multi-stage, multi-level. Part of that is just because I've also been figuring out who I am. Part of that is just because of how a nervous system, for it to reset its sort of we call global setting, that takes time. So the answer is yes, but over a long period of time.
That's amazing. So now I want to go back to the services that you're providing at gaywellness.com. So you take all of this, experience that you've had, given straddling both, medical and holistic, and you decide to create a repository where people can go and find services that are beneficial to the human body, to the human spirit, to the human soul, and you put them all together. how do you go about getting all the resources put together to put such an incredible service like this? Because it's very hard to do, to get people to come on board.
And then also like vetting all the practitioners.
Exactly.
Well, and I wish I could say every single practitioner has been vetted. Most of them have. I mean, it's just like, because the thing is that if I've thrown up a few profiles on there without contacting the owner, which is called claim directory listings. You can do it. It's legal. It's not anything illegal. You're just driving business to them. But ultimately that is not effective, because they're going to have a lot of questions about their profile, how to use it, their site. They also, they need to pay. And if they, even if it's $10 a month, so it doesn't cost a whole lot to be on the site. But if they're, that relationship does need to be there. So what I do is, I plant myself and like in LA and West Hollywood. I really started with West Hollywood. So I just every day would just kind of go out and talk to a barber and have a conversation with an acupuncturist or something, and book a session over here, book a session over there. And just really grow it organically, and do a lot of email outreach. The email outreach isn't the easiest either. A phone call sometimes works, but the thing is it's a new concept. There's not really there's no gay gay barber directory. So a lot of it is just kind of like the face to face. And we do events as the other thing that we started to do about a year ago. So we've done three or four of these larger events where we sell, 100 tickets for $20, and people come, and it's kind of like a mini wellness fair. And maybe we have some comedians. We have a ton of different workshops and events. We did one at the Tom of Finland House. We did some at the AT Center in LA, which is kind of we're LGBT recovery center in LA. And then I also do these massage exchanges for professional massage therapists only. So kind of like a little industry talking shop, and then just doing massage exchanges with each other. We have our first San Francisco one coming up tomorrow night. And then we have our first one in Sonoma County next week. And then we have one in Austin next month. So just little by little, but to be honest, there's also this other thing of I traveled all over Europe for 3 months, a bunch of cities, and I maybe shook hands with 4 or 5 massage therapists, got a few massages, and they got on, but then they got on, and somehow with the SEO, it just rose up in Google, the London page, the gaywellness.com/London, and all these guys just started adding their profiles on there. I guess it just it's one of those things where I didn't do any marketing for London, nothing, no ads, no SEO. And it just popped up number 2 or 3 in Google. Mm-hmm. And so guys just started making profiles. So it's kind of taken off there without any effort. So yeah, I don't know.
I have a quick question.
Go for it.
Being that you're from, originally moved over from Mexico City, do you have anything in place for the Latino population? So,
Mexico's a funny beast because the Latino countries have these, it's a wild, wild west where all the masseurs have Instagram, and that's how they get their work. And especially Mexico City, not so much Guadalajara, not so much Cabo or other places where I'm hey, yo, what's up on tu perfil? And they're okay. But they don't they've never had any directory, zero websites.
Exactly, yeah.
So they're kind of a little bit mistrusting. And so I need to go down there and do that. But there's also a lot of Google competition because all these local gay massage studios, they're competing for Google. So it's honestly, I'm trying to focus on 3 or 4 cities because otherwise I get spread too thin.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I do want to make an observation. So it looks like you've gotten some significant buy-in. Obviously your travels to Europe were fruitful because you've got people in London, Amsterdam. You think about for example Berlin, Paris, Barcelona. right?
Yeah.
So you have members that are joining your service and to look for different services that, you know, your website can direct them to. And you also have a lot of buy-in in places like Los Angeles, Chicago, you know, San Diego, obviously the California market, Texas, out of all places. But I see nothing in the Northeast. What's up with that?
Well, I mean, let's just put it this way. Let's say that like 4 out of the 9 cities you just said, I don't know. I have not even really scratched the surface of like the kind of content. Like when I say content, I mean local in-depth, blogging and informational content, resource creation, building up that city page. We call it like the city page for Chicago, for example. There's a lot of work that I'm behind on that I haven't even gotten to. So I'm just trying to there are like 4 or 5 different ways to fail. And one way to fail is to just spread my money too fast, too quick. So I'm really kind of bootstrapping this, right? So the money that comes in from the business, it goes right back into the business. And it's just really me. And I hire out like 4 or 5 guys to help me. And like, for example, Austin, right? So like, why Austin? Well, one of the biggest reasons why Austin is because Daly is there. Daly is this guy. He started doing Thai massage, put his ad on, and he saw this is so great. And he's gotten 30 guys on there in Austin.
Right.
Like, so he's kind of going around knocking on doors, but because I have him there, that means I can count on him and we can really grow the network. He already hosted a massage exchange, but like with New York, right? So it's like, no, I need to save up all my pennies. I need to move to New York, Miami, and do it right. Where are you guys, by the way?
We are actually in Connecticut.
Okay, so we're gonna work out a deal after this call, right?
Of course.
I'm gonna give you each $1,000 and you're gonna go get massages. How's that sound?
We'll do it. No. And I guess that's my next question to you. You know, as a person who's trying to create this, what I think is an amazing directory, right, where gay men, queer men, people in our community can go and find services that are directed and performed by people in our community to support our community. How can we help you? Is the question.
I mean, honestly, that's it.
I was also thinking Dr. G.
Oh yeah,
right,
100%.
Get him on that directory.
Damn it.
Yeah, because listen, man, if let's say Connecticut. So I know there's a couple guys. Actually, there's 2 guys in Hartford. I don't know if they're still their profile. It should be still on the site. But like, for example, Connecticut, like, let's get the first 10 guys on the site. And then all I need to do is some optimization and pay a few $100s and get a Google business entity established in that location. And then boom, traffic starts building. And then within a few months, traffic will start building. But like, for example, if a guy in the middle of, Idaho right now, or, even there's a couple of New York guys, they got on there and they're not getting traffic, then what's going to happen is they're going to just kind of be like, and I'm going to be like, well, I can't charge them because there's no point in charging anybody if they're not getting traffic, right? So it has to be a little bit of a critical mass. That's why I really need to like go. This is just, I think, for this next year. Like eventually, like there's going to be some tipping point where everywhere in the country, anywhere you type in anything, gay massage, gay therapist, gay wellness will come up number 1 for everything. But right now we're in that awkward growth where it's only popping up for certain cities. So I would say that, yeah, like as soon as there's like just a handful, like I would say like 5 massage therapists, like imagine you're a gay guy and you just want some resources. You get on a city page, you want to see at least 5 masseurs because, maybe only 3 or 4 are going to be available at any given day. And then, like a chiropractor and a physical therapist and a barber and, like a couple gay therapists and then maybe a spa and then boom. And then, a lot of those I can also just call on the phone, but like just having, and then 2 guys who I know and have communication with, because if I don't have any communication with them there, that's also a lost cause. So just having that communication is key,
Right. And so the other part of that is so I'm a business owner. I own a masseuse studio, right, where people can go and get massages. And I want to join your service. How do I go about doing that? And what is that process like?
Oh, it's easy. I mean, there's a join us page. You choose your category. So you'd be joining under the massage category. Everybody gets a free trial. And so you have to put in your credit card, but there's a free month trial. I've never had any problems with, credit card charges or anything like that. But it eventually is, first of all, what would happen is you would put on your profile, and then you go in, you put in your photos. We have a pretty well optimized system where the profile is 100% customizable. You can add your website link, which already boosts your SEO, by the way, is having a link on a niche relevant. What does that mean? It's gay related. So because you're a gay man, gay business, Google will see that, oh, wow, you're listed on another authoritative gay site. So that's going to boost your SEO just by having your link. We're the only gay directory that allows external links. You put your social media links on there. You can customize your photos however you want, like kind of like a Facebook profile. You can have a background photo. You can have an image gallery. You can put photos inside the body of the bio. You can put in your rates, all your amenities, your hours, your background education. We have a personal blog. And we really encourage the use of the blog because the blog articles get filtered to the homepage. So I always say, like, that is a secret free superpower. And those who know, they know what's up. They use it. Like, they'll blog on something about relevant to their, to their service. And then that will show up on the homepage. They'll get like 100 views and they can just put a link to their profile. We have an Instagram where, like, any practitioner who's with us as a paid member, we feature them on our Instagram, and that gets some exposure. We have a few thousand followers. It's not huge, but it's a high level of engagement. We have a newsletter as well, so they could possibly be featured on the newsletter. If they do an event, if they throw an event and it's sponsored by us or somehow helps us, we feature that event in our newsletter. So I think one of the things that we saw with the other directories that so far have gone unnamed is that we really try to care. We care about the practitioner. We want to do everything and anything. Like maybe you need help with your Google business. Maybe you need help with headshots. Like, we'll hook you up. We got guys in the area who we've got who can help you with that stuff. So.
That's amazing. I think that, again, the business model can work. It's just a matter of getting the buy-in from the communities that want to serve specific, members of our community. And I think it's wonderful what you're doing. I think the last question that I have for you is, once things are going, it's like, where do you go next with a service like this? Because I have to tell you, I go to your website and I pull up gaywellness.com, and the first thing I'm presented with is a website that's very, in a sense, it's almost soothing. You have a gentleman on the webpage, and his eyes are closed, and he's just sort of kind of like, looking internally, and
it's a nice stock image.
Yeah.
But it's insanely like effective, because the moment you pull up the website, it's zen. That's what you feel. So whoever designed your website, if it was you, congratulations, because it's working.
Yeah, I helped, but they had some really good branding designers, and we kind of borrowed from this site called Treatwell that's in Europe, and they have beauty and hair salons, and we just wanted, that's kind of the feeling that we're going for, is that zen feeling. So you're asking, like, where do we go from here?
Yeah, like, what are your dreams? What are your hopes?
What are next
steps?
Honestly, I guess, like, so it's just, obviously the site needs to grow, and I want it to become the dominant, the hub for wellness advice and resources. Obviously, if you're looking for testing and HIV stuff, go to the LGBT Center. We're just an online resource for any gay practitioner to be found. So that's the first thing. And we're at 700 practitioners, and growth is steady. And part of the steady growth, and not the crazy growth, is that everything grows in a really trustworthy and organic way, and that we get the right guys on there. Something about a city is, like, if you get the right first 10, 15, 20 guys on there, it really it sets the tone for who else is going to get on there. And so we really do want to kind of be careful about, we don't want just anyone on there. So I guess after that, I think what is really most alive are the live events, because there's so much to do with, like, if the only place that we have in our culture and gay culture is alcohol and sex, which, by the way, I'm very sex positive and I don't mind a drink here and there. But, like, we need other spaces as well where we can drop in and connect. So whether it's like a singles mixer where you really get to, feel into, get etiquette on intimacy, dating stuff, talking about how hard it is to date and just really, so like, or, a massage exchange event or a tantra workshop, or like a big kind of like, we're trying to plan a summer camp for gay men. So like kind of the summer camp that you never had as a gay man, but like at a huge, so I think there's a lot with live events and that we could do that will really hopefully change, give something else besides, like I said, just the gay bars.
I know what you're gonna say. So if you wanna talk about it, that's fine.
Yeah, well, there's actually several gay camps that there's one that I go to in Pennsylvania, which does a lot of functions on the week, pretty much all week. But that would be a great location to start. And I know in that area, in the Poconos area, there's 3 campgrounds that are gay inclusive or member only. And cater just to the LGBTQ communities, which is great. Something to add to the listing, which is great.
Resort, spa, whatever.
Yeah, resort, spas. I'm thinking Dr. G. I'm thinking the center. All stuff that could be added on.
So many ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
So many ideas. I mean, there's so many possibilities. Like I said, what you're doing is something that, is needed. We don't have, like, I can't go into a website. Well, I can now, right? And, well, at least not in the Northeast yet, but you're working on that.
Working on it.
Yeah.
I can't go into a website and say, you know what? I want someone that I can trust. I want a gay masseur. I want to go get a massage, or I want to have, a session with, a therapist that can cater specifically to the gay community. It's interesting. Ed, oh my God, Ed from DC.
Decker.
Ed Decker. No, it's not Ed Decker.
Whatever.
Anyway, Ed has mentioned, hey, I'm listed
Stern.
on a cover. Ed Stern, there you go. Thank you.
you.
He's based out of DC. He's doing a lot of great work with therapy, and he's a therapist, and it's hard to really find a centralized location where you can find services specifically catering to the uniqueness that is and the vastness that is our community, right? And when you find that, you have to support that. You have to be able to say, okay, you know what? Let's connect, let's network, and try to leverage the fact that we're trying to do something amazing for our communities.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're doing.
And this is, it's really important too, because like when we talk about, when we need to go see a doctor, when we need to go see a therapist or massage therapist, whatever it is, a lot of people, not just the LGBTQ plus community, but people in general, don't feel like they can shop around. And like having a central location where you can be like, oh, I'll give you an example. I got fired by my therapist, but that was just because my insurance changed, right? So now I'm looking for a new therapist, and it's been really difficult because I want a gay therapist.
Right.
And finding one, it's difficult. You want to shop around, you want to meet the right people. If you had a hub where everything is right there for the LGBTQ plus community, it would be so supportive and special.
And I'm glad you mentioned doctors, because the doctors one is a little tricky. I mean, eventually I think, having, medical doctors, and dentists, I mean, that is such a huge pain point, in our community where, I mean, just how many gay guys have, just been like, I want to talk to my doctor about PrEP, and he doesn't acknowledge it or know anything about it. I mean, that's so like, how do I go on Kaiser, I'm on Kaiser, and there's no filter for LGBTQ doctor. There's no filter for that. So I guess what I'll just say, since, you have, your listeners are listening in, is that like, I mean, I'm one guy with a small budget, and over time it can grow, and I'd love to grow it, but I'm also super open to collaboration. And there are ways of collaborating in which, it might be like putting it up a little bit of money up front, but that could come back to you and the collaborator or investor in ways down the road. So I mean, if it's the right fit, I'm open to that, just because like I realize it's 8 categories. I mean, if it was just one category, just massage, I mean, they're like, what, 100 cities all over the world. I mean, it'll take me the rest of my life to do on my own. So at some point I need to expand and, expand. Right now I'm really just focused on, like I said, these next 4 or 5 cities, but I welcome the help. So yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've actually listened to a lot of our show, but we do have a very deep and strong partnership with Bespoke Surgical, which is Dr. Evan Goldstein, and he's bicoastal, both LA and New York. And his practice is growing. He specifically focuses on the LGBTQ plus community, mainly buttholes.
Right. We call him the butt whisperer.
Wow.
But he could be a great resource, and I'm sure
Agreed.
we would be more than happy to connect you to his team.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Peter, before we go today, I just want to give you an opportunity. One, thank you for joining us on the show today. It's been lovely to have you. But please pimp yourself out. Tell us where our listeners can connect with you, where they can, find any information or even reach out to you if they wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, just hit us up at support@gaywellness.com. But Instagram is really where it's at, kind of like a little bit more active. So gay.wellness, gay.wellness. And well, you all know how to spell gay. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, that's where it's at.
Are you gay?
GAE.
Is this on the show?
I'm actually gonna come out again and tell y'all I'm gonna throw y'all for a loop because I'm kind of bisexual.
So is he. We have one of
Oh, we got bi in the house.
Absolutely.
The B is not silent, honey.
No.
Well, listen, my friend, I want to thank you so much for joining us on today's show. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll be in contact after our live stream to make sure that we can connect and see how we can help each other out and help you, obviously, in your endeavors. But seriously, we're truly appreciative of the fact that you chose our show to come and talk about this amazing platform that you're building.
Thank you so much, guys. I look forward to sharing a clip on all my stuff too, and sharing the love too. And yeah, appreciate it.
All right. Well, you have yourself a wonderful. Well, I'm thinking you're on the West Coast right now.
Yeah.
He's approaching evening.
It's still daylight over there. They're like 3 hours behind. Yeah, we're getting a little dark right now, so we're a little sad.
Yeah. Okay.
But nonetheless, it's wonderful to have you. Thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you. You two guys.
All right,
Enjoy.
have a good one.
Have a good night.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
All right, ladies and gents, sorry, that was a bit abrupt. I didn't mean to do that. But of course, that was Peter Dewitt. He is the founder of gaywellness.com. Please be sure to, check out the website if you're looking for services. Clearly not in the Northeast yet, but we're getting there. And that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so we've got a couple of things that we need to sort of kind of structure through before we say goodbye to you. So I'm going to toss it over to my peoples so that we can go ahead and walk through those. So Jay, no, it's not Jay. It's not Jay. It's Trish. Trish, you're first. I'm going to give you your love.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Here's Mama Kim's Minute. Number 1, Italian general who called gay people not normal was stripped of his military titles. Fuck off. Number 2, Rhonda Sanctimonium. Anti-woke policies have led to serious brain drain in Florida. Number 3, my late father was the best person I knew, and I'll forever cherish what he did when I came out.
Oh. All right. Well, Jaybird, it's up to you. You got this, boy?
I think I do. I didn't pre-read this one.
Right.
It looks different today.
Well, we didn't have pictures because Quist wasn't working.
My app wasn't working.
Yeah, Quist, get it together, sister.
So today, August 28th, 1951, on this day in gay history.
Okay.
Brought to you by GayTalk.
Is that right?
Podcast.
Legitimate
podcast. The Supreme Court of California rules on Stoneman versus Riley that the mere congregation of homosexuals at a bar was not sufficient grounds for suspending the bar's liquor license. The ruling came in the case of the Black Cat Bar, a San Francisco gay bar that was the target of a 15-year campaign by state and local authorities to shut it down. 15 fucking years.
Yeah, and that was
crazy.
in 1951. So if you think about it, it was like well over 15 or 16 years before Stonewall even happened, right? And we know that you see a lot of raids that kept happening from the 50s all the way through Stonewall, where people were just like,
So since 1936
Yeah.
through 51,
yeah.
they kept trying to pigeonhole
Well,
the bar.
right, and trying to
Basically.
take their
Take
liquor
the
license,
liquor
right?
license.
And we go back to the issues with Stonewall, and you say to yourself, New York had a law in the books that said it was illegal to serve mentally ill people alcohol. And at the time, homosexuality was considered in some way, shape, or form to be a sort of mental illness, which is how they justified going into these bars and doing these raids.
Yes.
Until, drag queens and trans sisters just had enough and said, fuck you.
Fuck you.
So, I mean, while we know that 1969 in Stonewall is the considered to be the birthplace of the modern LGBTQ plus revolution, a lot of it has its history when some of the cases that were won, in San Francisco and Florida and in California and in the Castro. Here I go again, talking about different states that have nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Alaska.
Alaska. But anyway.
Maui, Alaska.
Maui, Alaska. Look it up. I swear to God, it's probably now somewhere.
I keep looking it up.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, off to you guys.
Okay, so here we go on to announcements. If you love the show, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting service. By subscribing, you get the latest and greatest of our show delivered right to your favorite devices or web browser as soon as the episode is published.
Just when I was about to say she was on point.
You can also support us on Patreon. With Patreon, your listeners can help to support the show with a pledged donations.
Get it?
The donations are collected monthly and can be in any denomination of $1 or more. Daddy needs some money. Next week, we'll be taking the day off. Are we? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
We will be taking the day off for Labor Day.
It's
Enjoy
happening.
the last bit of summer we can. I guess we're going to try to take that in.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to schedule some time off of work.
Yeah.
We're all off on Monday.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking the rest of the week because I have like 20 days of unused PTO.
Well, you can donate them right over here, darling,
She's
because
taking a long weekend, Friday through Monday.
I will take it.
Yeah.
So.
But anyways, I guess
Movies on the patio?
most likely.
Yes.
Tom, over to you.
It's my turn?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to thank you to our guest, Peter Dewitt, founder of the Gay Wellness. You will find all of the links.
GayWellness.com.
Well, I'm not there yet. You can find all of the links that will be associated with our guest, Peter Dewitt, tonight on our post. And you can visit www.gaywellness.com for more information on products and services that are being offered by this, what we believe to be an amazing service.
I
Trish.
wrote him one sentence.
Yeah.
That was not one sentence.
You know
There she
me.
goes on a
I
tangent.
love to embellish.
On a tangent.
Thank you, Tom.
At least you learn how to push buttons.
All right, everybody, get the Future Method and all other products today. All products are doctor developed and can clean out without hurting your bum. Take confidence anywhere with the anal powder packs, and now increase your stretch goals with the 3-piece anal dilation kit. Glass dilation kit. Visit futuremethod.com to purchase your life-changing bum accessory today.
Any news on when we're getting Dr. G again?
Yeah, he's coming next month.
Oh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to see him. It's going to be awesome because then our viewers can see him too, right? They haven't been able to see his beautiful face.
I should mention, since we're taking next Monday off, following that Monday, we will be switching back to Wednesdays.
That's right. That's right. Because, now summer's over. She's going to start doing her board meetings again on Monday. So we're going to have to move over to Wednesday. So, yeah. So we'll come back on Wednesday. So once we take next week off, we'll come back on Wednesdays on the flip side of that break. Thank you.
All right. So I guess it comes down to put a ring on it.
Why do we keep putting a ring on it? I ask this every single time.
Because I
Put a ring on
I
it.
don't use the rubber. I use a ring.
All right.
They could be rubber, but they're generally
Rings.
Silicone. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time to put a silicone rubber on it. No. Our show is available on our website, gaytalk20.com, under audio podcast. It is also available as a free download on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Stitcher Radio. Nick?
All right. You can find us on social media, Facebook, GayTalk 2.0, Instagram, GayTalk 2.0. You can email us at gaytalk2.0 at gaytalk20.com. Tom? Yeah.
We're going to try. All right, well, ladies and gents, if you need to reach out to us, just head on over to our website and click on the Contact Us tab at the top of your web browser. There, you can leave comments, you can suggest topics, suggestions, submit a question for the cast. Oh my God, I had such a hard time with that. Or an individual host, and much more. You can also call us and leave us any questions you may have via voice message, and we can answer those for you right here on the show live. Just call 334-GAY-TALK, and if you need all those digits, it is 334-298-25. Price off. Do you want one more? I put in the note. I knew that I was probably going to forget, and I didn't want to. So, and that is to welcome our newest Patreon subscriber. His name is Lee. Thank you. Thank you so much for supporting our show.
Thank you, Lee.
That being said, ladies and gents, that is our show. Thank you. And y'all have a good night. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Gay Talk 2.0. Tune in next time for more dish.